has God forgotten me? Is there nothing? Is this going to be it now? But God, Moses' destiny on his life was to take what he'd learnt in Egypt and ultimately to become a deliverer of the people of Israel from slavery in Egypt. He was to become the judge and prophet over them that they had prophesied, that Stephen said. And, you know, he may have been thinking, did I blow it? Was it all for nothing? And, you know, he was with sheep because God needed him to know about sheep, because he was going to shepherd a flock for 40 years in the desert that were probably harder to look after than real sheep, you know, with all they went through. And I'm sure he didn't think he'd still be at 120 looking after the sheep. And he became that prophet and intercessor. And, you know, he became a priest, wasn't he? He represented God to the people, and he represented the people to God. So what happened in his period of lockdown? There was a purpose in it. It was reshaping him. As the last song that Jenny chose, it was him laying down, wasn't it? All the privilege and the rights, all the wisdom and everything that he had, emptying himself that all had come from Egypt. You know, it said that he was mighty in words and deed. And yet when we see Moses, he's stuttering and he asks for help for somebody to speak to him. Where was this mighty leader in Egypt saying, I can't do it, you'll have to provide someone for me. You know, he'd been humbled. He'd been emptied of everything so that God could fill him. You know, he was God's way. And as such, he entered into the destiny. His lockdown was not wasted because it released him into the destiny that God had for him. And he became a voice for the people of Israel. He became a voice to the people. And it just says, and when 40 years had passed, an angel of the Lord, and 40 is always a number of testing. You know, when there are periods of 40 in the Bible, years, days, whatever. And when 40 years had passed, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire in a bush in the wilderness of Mount Sinai. And when Moses saw it, he marveled at the sight. And as he drew near to observe, the voice of the Lord came to him, saying, I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses trembled and dared not look. Then the Lord said to him, take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt. I have heard their groaning, and have come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send you to Egypt. The cries of the nations, the cries of Bradford, the cries of this area of Yorkshire have gone up to the Lord. And is he released? Is he been using us to go and deliver them from the bondage of sin and slavery? You know, the voice that he's put within each one of us. And whether it's not been as vocal there before, he has given each one of us a voice. And we have the authority to see people set free, to speak words of life, to see the chains fall off, to see them walk into freedom. And I love the story of Hannah. And I'm just going to go to, sorry, I've got my little bookmarks in at the same time. And I'm going to look at 1 Samuel 1, verses 1 Samuel 1:9. You don't want two of me. Verses 1 to 9. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim, of the mountains of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. Also the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, although the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival also provoked her severely to make her miserable, because the Lord had closed her womb. And so it was, year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, that she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Hannah arose, and I love that. So Hannah arose after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. And now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the tabernacle of the Lord. And when we read further on, which I'm not going to do today, we know that she poured out her heart to God. She poured out her heart, and God heard her. And he gave her a child. And she made a vow to God that the child she had, she would give back to the Lord. Because really everything we have doesn't belong to us in the first place. You know, everything that we have belongs to him. And we have to hold things lightly in our hands. You know, and sometimes that is tough. I think for mothers it is